All right, if you're a CEO of a company that everybody hates, we're going to talk about some cars that you should avoid. Plus, we're going to go over the predictions that we made on the last episode. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. All right, welcome everyone to a live episode. Speaking of CEOs, we've got Romi in the house. Romi Mirza is here in the Romi studio in downtown Las Vegas. My name is John Polnik. We are doing it live along with my partner way over there in San Francisco on the other side, Michael Deeb. How the heck are you? What's going on? It's time for Bid Nerds.
Oh, dude, what a pleasant surprise. We have Romi in studio. That's 2 shows in a row, JP. We're going to the show. Yeah, it's going to be Bid Herd.
Right on. Well, you know, we made predictions on the last episode on some kind of goofy cars. Maybe, I don't know if any of the cars that we talked about on the last episode are cars that CEOs would necessarily drive, but most classic cars seem to be kind of on the rise when it comes to values. We're definitely seeing pretty darn good results for classic cars. A lot of the exotic and luxury stuff, maybe not so much. There's definitely one car from last episode that will fit that category. So let's just get to it and start talking about the results of the last episode's predictions. What was the first car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, my I want to drive with Romi fantasy car is this 2002 Porsche 996 Ruf R Turbo conversion with a 6-speed manual that we found on PCAR Market just last week. Our car was listed for sale out of Dallas, Texas, and had just 39,000 miles. Apparently, the Ruf Auto Center for North America is also located in Dallas, Texas. At 17,000 miles and in the early aughts, this car was brought to the center, and somebody spent big money to perform the R Turbo conversion, which basically, with the addition of just like the 19-inch wheels, some cosmetic things on the inside, you got Ruf branded pedal set, you've got a Ruf steering wheel, and I think Ruf face gauges. The big news here, JP, is the swapping of the turbos and some engine management stuff to take what is essentially a 415 horsepower car all the way up to 550 horsepower at the tires, turning this 996 turbo, which is not a sheep, into an authentic wolf, just a badass car. 550 at the tires, JP. I mean, that's better than a 997.2 Turbo S, and that car never came with a manual. So I imagine this is an extraordinary car to drive. Now, JP, I like the car. They also swapped out the seats. This car actually came with what we affectionately referred to as tufted Balzac leather, and they swapped out the front seats for the adaptive sports seats, the big sports seats, which doesn't have that leather. But the door cards and the back reflect that. I kind of feel like if you're going to spend the money to do that, you should swap out the rest of the car. I suppose the new owner would have that option to do it, but it bothers me that they spent all this money and didn't sort of finish the project if you were with that. Anyway, JP, super nice car, nice condition, dark gray metallic, not silver like a lot of these cars, not black. The car looks to be in decent but used condition, and again, fair miles. And I thought this car could be had for under $100,000. JP, my bid on PCAR Market was $86,000. but could wind up in the deal tank for well over 100, depending on what the owner has in mind. John, you took the under right underneath me at $85,996. Romi, what do you think? 550 horsepower turbo swap by Ruf with a letter proving that it was done by them and serviced by them since. What do you think this thing would go for on PCAR, the inferior auction platform?
Okay, on PCAR. Yeah, I like it a lot. The ZZ Top keychain sold me.
Yeah, give me all your loving and all your money too.
I was thinking more sharp dressed man, but fine. But you know what? This thing is cool. They did it right. They got the gauges. They've got the seats. I'm sorry, not the seats. The stick, the pedals, the wheels. And a letter from Ruf saying it's been done. So it gives you some kind of value to it. So I'm thinking probably closer to 100. So I'm going to say,
give me a number.
I'm going to say 101.
101. Rami, you would be, I think, the closest. JP, our car hammered for $91,500, which is a fair hammer. The big news here is that's all it took. That was a winning bid in a natural auction on PCAR Market. That's
Awesome.
almost as rare as finding a 996R turbo from Ruf. So well sold, and certainly I wouldn't say well represented. JP, you picked this car apart by being sort of another inferior listing that PCAR Market should have gone back to the seller and said, hey, clean this thing up, shoot it properly, and bring it back. 91.5, they took the money, but JP, I'm going to guess the next words out of your mouth are they left money on the table. Where you at?
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks for saying everything that I was going to say.
My pleasure. Next car.
We should just move on to the next car. There's not really much else to say. This car was listed awfully. I mean, if you guys want to hear one of my JP rants, go watch the last episode. I didn't really rip the car. I ripped PCAR Market because I really thought they were wasting everyone's time. I really thought this car was going to wind up in the deal tank for much more because I think the car is worth much more. If this car had proper photos, if they pulled that stupid Porsche sticker off the lower rocker panel there and gotten rid of that silly rock guard and actually gone out and presented this car well, this is a magnificent Porsche to own. And one of the things that I like about this particular car, given our kind of subject today, is how much the 996s kind of dip under the radar. Yeah. It is not an ostentatious car, yet it will hang with anything that's exotic. In fact, might even be better than a lot of exotic cars that get way too much attention. So if you're the kind of guy like, I don't know, my good friend Romi right here, who likes to drive fast and gets a lot of tickets, maybe, Romi, you should get a seal gray 996 roof that the cops just won't even notice because it blends in with all the Honda Accords and stuff like that. What do you think of that, Deeb? Or Romi, you going to get a 996?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about it, actually, and I agree with you 100%. If you took off the stupid rocker thing, the rock guard and the stickers, and it would have and presented it better, it would have sold for more
20
money.
grand more.
20 grand more.
This car could easily have brought $20,000
Yeah,
more.
I just don't know. Is PCAR Market run by like octogenarians?
It's hard boomer, that's for sure.
It seems like it. It seems
hard
like
boomer
it.
over there.
You know what they would say, right? They would say like something like, well, you know what? It's ridiculous on the other auction, so it went for the price it should have gone for. That's totally
right.
them.
They'll pat themselves on the back for this result, even though they left.
I'm going to go out to get some more pleated khakis.
The PCAR Market guys are your favorite guys, Rami. They're all Long Island types.
That's what I mean. I grew up with these guys.
That's your
Oyster
like,
Bay.
you got to wear white tennis shoes when
they're
at Oyster Bay.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oyster
God,
Bay.
That says everything. I mean, that's what it is. Those guys wear white New Balances. They've got pleated khakis, the khaki color, and they wear the Oxford blue shirts, and they're like, "Oh, this was great. We did so well here." Yeah,
all right.
It's totally them.
What do you guys think of the results of this beautiful 996 turbo built by Ruf? Was that well bought? Did PCAR leave money on the table? And if you were a CEO trying to hide from assassins, is that the car you would choose? Let's move on to the next car that we talked about on the last episode.
JP, we have to
talk about conspicuous consumption. This next one is... What were we going to say?
JB, we have to call it PCAR Market.
PCAR Market. That's what they call it. That's
PCAR Market.
Go watch their podcast.
PCAR Market.
What's the next car, Michael D? What do we got?
All right, JP, we are going to check back in on the 2020 Rolls-Royce Dawn Black Badge that was on Bring a Trailer last week. Offered for sale out of North Bergen, New Jersey, showing a whopping 26,000 miles. This is a very rare car, JP, and rare still being a black badge. Take it or leave it with the black and sort of Hermes orange, or what do you call it, JP? Jägermeister logo. But certainly an expensive car to begin with. John, this car's MSRP, I want to remind everybody, the MSRP on this car initially was $481,550. Car's got 26,000 miles. It's just a couple of years old. How hard would it get spanked in depreciation? JP, I started the bidding at, as soon as I can find my number, $240,000, where I wasn't sure if it would sell for that. John, you took the over at $260,000. Rami, what do you think this behemoth would be worth? It looks to be still in exceptional condition, but it does have 26,000 miles, which I imagine probably makes it one of the more high mileage Dawn convertibles out there. What do you think this thing would have hit? Bring a trailer, secondary market. Where you
Bring
at?
trail, and it's black badge.
Yeah, black badge.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice car. It's a nice car. I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but it's
Fancy.
a really nice car. Fancy. Yeah. The contrasting interior it appeals to people. I like the black badge. If I was going to get one, I would do a black badge. I don't know. These cars depreciate significantly after the people buy them, no matter what. Yeah. I mean, they always drop. I think I'm going to say 205.
205. Romi, you missed the Yahtzee by $3,000. Our car hammered for just 202,000, where it failed to sell. Wait for it, just 8 bids. JP, the Spirit of Ecstasy garnered crickets. What is going on?
Yep. I mean, look, I think right now the whole idea of conspicuous consumption is in a lot of trouble right now. We're joking about this CEO guy in New York getting popped in the middle of the city. If you are someone, and we're not going to, he didn't deserve it. We don't condone anything like that. It's awful that happened, awful. But I definitely understand the sentiment. It is pervasive in our culture right now. People don't want to see what appears to be conspicuous when it comes to consumption. That's one of the reasons why I think like classic cars are still doing well, and cars like this are just taking it in the shorts, because you can go out and spend $200,000-$300,000 on, say, a classic 911, and if you know that that's an expensive car, okay, but to the average person it just looks like an old sports car and it looks neat, and they know they're not cheap, but they don't think of it as just like a ridiculously overpriced. Something about a car that everyone knows that this was $500,000, and also everyone knows that they lose a couple $100,000 the second you drive them off the lot. Yes. And that's what pisses people off. That's what makes people go, God, you know what? You have to be a douchebag to be the kind of person that it's so important to you to look cool, to show everybody that you have the $500,000 car, and you can afford to lose $200,000 like that.
Because you don't care.
Because you don't care. That's the people. Those are the types of CEOs that people absolutely hate, and those are the people that have a target on their head. Romi,
speaking of which, how do you pronounce Stellantis? Is that it? The company that owns all those big
that owns Chrysler.
Yeah. Do you
and
know
Maserati
what the CEO made last year when they had that huge loss? Have any idea?
It was hundreds of millions.
No. He made himself $40 million.
Yeah.
Now that's why people get pissed.
Yeah.
Because the union workers aren't making any money. They're closing down plants, and he's like, I saved the company money. I made the shareholders money, so do I get my $40 million? It's like, oh boy, sounds like Europe.
Yeah, yet all the dealerships are, about to go under, and some American brands may go away. We might be looking at the end of Chrysler. We might be looking at the end of brands that are just like, okay.
I've been milking it for years. God, kill it.
Nissan is on the chopping block, man. Ooh.
Yeah, totally. Nissan too. If you're on the chopping block and you're in industry, I don't care what it is. You shouldn't be given a lifeline, because then it's just going to be a slow bleed after that. It's never going to fix itself. You got to start fresh, start new.
Yeah, whatever. Hopefully this time around, no one's getting bailouts. All right, what do you guys think of the results of this beautiful but really ridiculously expensive convertible? Was it well bought? I did want to say, before we moved on from this car, it's kind of Aviera spec. Check it.
Yeah.
This is the Aviera watch. It's orange and black. This watch would go really well with that particular card. So there it is. Somebody. If you want to avoid looking like a douchebag with your new Rolls Royce, just send it to my way and here in Las Vegas, and we'll just put it on Turo or something like that, and we can rent it to douchebags.
JP. After our next car, you're gonna have to send the watch to me. So
is that how that's gonna work? I don't know.
That's how that's
gonna work. We're gonna have to arm wrestle for that one. All right, what's the next car, guys?
All right, JP. We had a ton of people in the Nerd Herd were very excited about this 1984 Sbarro Super 8, a one-off car from Swiss builder Franco Sbarro, with backing from industrialist Bernd Groh. And it was delivered in time for the 1984 Geneva Motor Show. Essentially, Romi, somebody took a Ferrari 308 with a quattro-valve drivetrain. So that's a four-valve, normally aspirated V8, and the gated 5-speed manual. I think they shortened the wheelbase and put this custom like GTI hatchback body on it. With very 80s side strecks and almost looks like a Zender body kit and super wide rear wheels. So it's not a front wheel drive.
Peugeot 305 is what I see.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. And it's mid-engine. So this has actually more tie-ins with a Renault R5 Turbo.
Yes.
So it's still mid-engine, short wheelbase, 5-speed manual. And the entire car is custom. Even the interior is completely bespoke. This car has been residing in Europe in a museum, and they've decided to put it up for sale. So the car is sitting in Paris, and it's on Dutch registration as a 1980 Sbarro. But a one-off car. It's got 19,000 miles on the odometer, so it has been driven. This was not just a concept car, but an actual driving car. I bet this thing is pretty fun. You're talking probably, 2,500 pounds and probably 260, 270 brake horsepower. So I bet this thing is got the goods as well. So very rare car. Absolutely no comps to guess where it was at. With that in mind, Romi, JP, I opened the bidding at $160,000. John, you took the under at just $150,000. Romi, this car could easily go for $250,000. It could have stalled out at just over $100,000. What do you think this would have hammered for? Again, for sale out of Europe, but a one-off on a Ferrari drivetrain on Bring a Trailer. Where you at?
Oh, man. I mean, I like this car a lot. I think it's cool. And I love the vents on the side behind the front door. Tells you it's mid-engine. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
And everything's cool about it. The interior is cool. It's just unique and weird. But is it being sold in America on Bring a Trailer?
No,
or just everywhere?
No, it's out of Paris on BAT.
Oh, okay. Well, it could be. I don't know. It's tough. I'm thinking like 130.
130. Yeah, so
yeah.
just underneath JP. Not bad. John, our car hammered for $160,000, giving yours truly a Yahtzee.
Whoa!
The car failed to sell on 23 bids. I'll give you my address and you can send me the watch. Thank you very much. No, but JP,
the dashboard. Look at that.
160 is, I kind of guessed what I thought it might be worth to somebody who would still have to import this thing in the United States with a company name that's probably not even on the list of the Department of Traffic. I doubt anybody at DOT and Homeland in Massachusetts or New Jersey knows what the hell a Sbarro is outside of your pizza reference from the mall.
By the way, Joe Sbarro's a really nice guy.
They're clearly looking for more money. My guess is they're looking for, north of $180,000, $200,000 for this thing, possibly more because maybe this car is a whole lot more popular in Europe. Why didn't this car go to the UK's own classic.com as a auction site rather than Bring a Trailer? BAT to me is still very U.S. North American centric, and this car has got way too much European tie-in to get the retail number. Where are you at, John? What do you think of that result?
When I went to prom in my senior year in high school, the girl I wanted to go with, I waited too long to ask, and she wound up going with someone else. So I wound up having to go to the prom with the foreign exchange girl, which was kind of embarrassing because
You did Better Off Dead?
I did.
Wow.
And it was a lot like that because Julie Kofed, if you're watching, she's from, I think, Norway or something. This girl did not get the whole American sensibility thing. This girl was just an absolute train wreck, walking around school all year. Just a lovely young lady at the time. Just love, she was great. But she just did not look good. I was like, oh God, all right. Okay, this is going to be fun, whatever. So I rented my tux and I borrowed my cousin's LeBaron Turbo.
Yes.
And I went to pick her up and I, had the corsage ready to go. And she came out of the house and I don't know who told her, hey, here's how you dress for prom. But she looked great. I mean, I was like, holy God, what just happened here? And this car, you look at this car and it looks like an AMC Gremlin, but had the Julie Kofed package because they just dressed it up with all the right stuff. It had all the right curves in the right places and the strakes and I mean, this car just looks so cool, but it looks like if you stripped it away, you'd wind up with a Pacer or that Gremlin or something like that. So shout out to my girl, Julie. I don't know whatever happened to her, but I'm sure
she became a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh man.
She's running. Where is she from? Sweden. She's running Sweden.
She's
Norway.
running Sweden.
Yeah.
She's
Or
probably
Norway.
the
Sorry,
prime minister
she's
or
running.
something
Yeah,
like
she's
that.
prime minister in Oslo.
That, or she's in charge of like hiding away all the seeds in that vault
that
that they have
vault
up there in the
yeah.
North Pole or whatever. Yeah.
Totally.
all
That car.
right.
And the more you see that car, the more you look at it, the better it gets.
Right.
It's a
Right?
good-looking
It's just
car,
like
man.
Julia. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
it's just-
gosh.
I see what you're saying. It's cool, man.
It's really cool. But like Julie, I'll never see this thing in person. Again, it's in Europe. It's not coming here.
No.
And a lot like Julie, that car smokes and has yellow teeth.
Well, I don't. I bet she held up. I don't think she's.
No, you can't
I'm
smoke in
sensitive.
Europe anymore. It's against the law.
Yeah. All right, guys. All right. What do you think of the Sbarro? Is it just a slice of pizza at the mall, or is this your cup of tea and the right slice of pie? Let us know. Did we cover that 9/11
One more.
on the last
We did.
episode?
Yeah,
Okay, let's do it.
we threw down bits. Right before the door shut on the show last time, JP, we took a quick peek at cars and bids, and we're going to check in on the 1994 Porsche 911 Carrera 2 Cabriolet that was listed on Doug DeMiro's site, showing 26,000 miles from new with a 5-speed manual. JP, a .2 manual low-mile white, black Cabriolet out of Willow Springs, Illinois. John, I like the car, but I didn't like the car for this site. I think this car should have been on BAT, especially in the dead of winter out of the middle of Illinois where there's currently snow on the ground. So, John, I thought that this car, to me, this guy putting this car on DeMiro's site at this time of the year was a sign of weakness or desperation and sense of urgency to move the car. Thus, I thought the bids would be low, and yet it would still sell because to me, it looked like he was trying desperately to get off this car before the end of the year, before Christmas, let's say. And so, John, I really believed that this car could be had for a song. With that in mind, JP, my bid on this car was just $58,000. You took the over at $60,964, and you and I both agreed, JP, that at another time of the year or on a different platform, this is a $70,000 car all day long. So, Romi, low miles, black interior, two-wheel drive and manual, but cars and bids and in Illinois. What's your hammer? What do you think this car?
Yeah, it's a cool car.
for?
Is it Euro spec? It's not, right? It's
No.
American?
It's an American car.
It's an American car. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what's going through my head is 70,000 because that's the way I think that car should be.
Yeah,
It should be there. Yeah.
And you'd be right. We just thought that they had too many hurdles in the road to the sale. And
Yeah.
of course, we were both wrong because you're the new guy. And why not? Why wouldn't you just show up and kick our ass at this game? Not like your name's not on the studio or something. Go to hell, Romi. 73,000 was the hammer price on this car, making Romi the winner for a change. And JP had sold on 54 bids. The car got action, and the car got a retail number. You got it. Sometimes, you think you know better. You try to read the tea leaves. And other times, you just got to tip your hat to the biggest nerd in the room, Doug DeMiro. That is unbelievably well sold. John, I'm not sure it would have got 73 on Bring a Trailer. They would have picked it apart. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's all the money plus and an extraordinary result. Congratulations to the seller. He did really outstanding in the month of December on a summer car in a winter town. That is just unbelievable. And then to the buyer, you still got a really rare car. I wouldn't even say he overpaid. He just paid retail at a time when everybody else would have thought he would have got a bargain. But that car is worth that money. And just congratulations to everybody involved except me because I was the low man on the. I got egg on my face. JP, what do you think? Were you as shocked as I was when you saw that hammer? Or
No, not at all. I mean, look, I think this is just a testament to. Look, we talk about Porsches all the time. We talk about air-cooled Porsches. In fact, we get a lot of ish for that because our lineup isn't always as diverse as maybe some of the nerd herd would prefer. But I said it on the last episode, there aren't very many air-cooled 911s out there right now, and the day of the Cabrio-phobe is waning. People are starting to understand that the Cabrios are a great way to get into a car like this. If it were a coupe, it would be $110,000, $120,000. So especially with this low miles, if it were on BAT, would it have brought more money? Maybe a little bit, but you said that they would have picked it apart. There's nothing to pick apart on this car. As low miles, it's basically in perfect shape. It's ready to go. And even though it's in a part of the country where people aren't really thinking about sports cars in general, I think that's the beauty of Cars and Bids and PCAR Market and Bring a Trailer. All these platforms are selling to the entire country, where there are lots of places in the country where weather just doesn't matter right now. I mean, and the fact is, this car is likely to wind up in a place like California or Vegas or Arizona or Florida anyway. That's where a car like this belongs, because it is a drop top. So yeah, I think 70 grand is, right on. And, this car will probably do even better in the spring if this guy decides to flip it. What do you think of the result, Romi?
Yeah, I agree. I think it went for 73, right? Yeah. It was like, that's
73.
pretty interesting, because the top looks good. Like, the interior is good. The wheels are, they're correct, period correct. And and it's a 964. They're rare.
Yeah, and it's a C2.
It's a C2.
That's the other thing too. Is like, it seems like 9 out of 10 of these cabs that we wind up seeing, and I've owned one and loved it, but almost all of them are C4s. And then when you do see a C2 in a cab, then you're pretty much looking at half of them are Tiptronics.
Tiptronic, right?
So to find a C2 convertible with a stick in a good color, like white on black and not blue or something like that, with crazy low miles, this car someone was going to grab it. I'm bummed it wasn't me. What do you guys think of the result of this beautiful little 964? Was that well bought? Is it seasonal? Is it going to be worth a lot more in just a couple of months? Like Deeb thinks. Do you think they left money on the table because they were on Cars and Bids? Let us know. All right, we are going to take a quick break. But before we do, make sure you guys hit the subscribe and like button. And if you're new to the show, thanks for watching tonight, because you are watching live right now. Introduce yourself to your new friends in the live chat and become a part of the nerd herd. You're going to make great friends over there. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back in just a minute with new predictions. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are back. It is time to make predictions. I'm looking at my Aviero watch here that we are going to give away here at the beginning of the year. We're setting up a tournament for you guys, so someone's going to win this watch. My partner Michael Deeb wants to steal it from me.
Put my Yahtzee on the calendar, man.
We are not eligible. We are the hosts of the show. We can't win the contest, and besides, we wouldn't anyway, because the Nerd Herd is way better at this than we are. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get to it. Let's make some predictions. The big question that everyone's talking, I mean, you get on the internet, everyone's talking about this poor CEO guy that got clipped in the middle of Manhattan. There's some tension out there on the streets. People are not happy with douchebags. And we don't know if this guy was a douchebag or whatever. I'm not saying that he was, but look, if you are one, your head better be on a swivel, because I feel like it might be open season. Once people are like going, oh, hey, this is I didn't think of that. It didn't even occur to me. So to me, that means purple, bright colored exotic cars and, luxurious Rolls Royces and things like that. I think if you own one of those, you better take it to some outfit that can make it bulletproof. What's the first car on the list? If you're a CEO, Michael Deeb, what car is the car what's the car that you need to avoid more than any other car? What's the first car on the list?
Oh man, a 2024 Ferrari Purosangue. I think I'm saying that correctly. This is Ferrari's new 4-door SUV, they're calling it. It is a crossover with a naturally aspirated V12. And Romi, I have it on good authority that this car was never available to the public. Ferrari selected clients from their database to buy this car, full stop. There was no guy that walked in and bought 3 cars and then said, hey, I'd like a Purosangue. Ferrari dealerships didn't get to work with their own list. It was, Ferrari in Italy working with Ferrari Cars of North America to select their best sort of collectors, which Ferrari considers brand ambassadors. And they got to place every one of these cars until the V12 run is over. So a .2 of this car is going to come out, much like they did with the old FF. They changed the name to Lusso. They ran a few more V12s as a Lusso, and then they started offering twin-turbo V8s. And that's what's going to happen here with the Purosangue. At least I believe it'll be twin-turbo V8s. It could also be twin-turbo V6, which is what's in the 296 GTB GTS car at the moment. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be some forced induction, smaller motor that'll cost a little bit less money. And I think if you're a Ferrari collector, you can go in and chase down one of those. But unless you were hand-selected to buy one of these V12s, you were never in the running anyways. So, JP, these cars cost a bundle of money. This particular one that we're looking at had an MSRP of around $545,000. And I can't quite see it because my computer is kind of small, but that's
I can't quite see it.
That's
either.
It's about $150,000 in options. In other words, the base price was around $395 and the MSRP was $545. So we're talking about $150 in options. What you call penetration. I'm not making that up, but these cars have really good penetration, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, JP, I thought this would be interesting to look at because in my mind, I thought this was the first one that I had noticed come to market. Well, this exact car, John, ran about, let's see if I can find it here. It ran in November, again, after the election, but it ran in November of 2024, and the person who won did not fulfill his obligation to buy. So Bring a Trailer is rerunning the car on behalf of the seller, and basically you're getting a second blush in less than a few days. So JP, last time out, our car hit for $690,000, but it did not transact for that number because the buyer disappeared. So 27 bids, and let's look at it. At 545 to 690, we're talking 150 over MSRP. So if you've got a Purosangue and you decide to break your 2-year lease obligation that most Ferrari dealerships will force you to abide by before you can either sell the car back to the dealer and trade it in on another new model, or go out in the open market and see if you can still find equity for your car 2 years down the road. This guy here, in my opinion, is breaking his sort of either written or unwritten handshake to not sell the car.
Hey, Deeb, your microphone is going away. You're getting really, really quiet over there for a second. So while you're messing with your microphone, I'm just going to say, look, how do you pronounce Purosangue? If you're poor, you're not getting one, is what it means. This thing is ridiculous. This is conspicuous consumption. If there ever, this is the textbook
You're
vehicle
get shot
for
if
that.
you have this car.
This is the car that you were gonna wind up getting. All right, Deeb's got his. I'm gonna turn his audio off for a second here.
You know, it's an interesting car, JP. The more I look at it, and the more I like it. I hate crossovers. I hate them. I think they're stupid. And it's usually for soccer moms, but this thing's interesting because it's got a V12. It's naturally aspirated. It's going to be fun to drive. It's going to be loud. You could probably tune the heck out of it. And it's unique and rare, and it's got an unbelievable interior. The interior is crazy. Does it have suicide doors on it?
It looks like the back doors are suicide. Yeah, It looks like it opens up.
It's an interesting car.
Those called bay-style doors or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but why are I understand why these companies like Lamborghini and Ferrari, they're all making SUVs now. But it's just a cash grab, and everyone knows it, and that's why everyone that sees someone driving one around just thinks douchebag, just thinks this is a ridiculous person that has too much money, not enough taste, not enough. It'll
fit in that Beverly Hills perfectly.
Yeah, these are going to be everywhere. And that's the other thing about it too, is that they're as beautiful as it is when you start looking at the details. When I see it driving down the road or when I'm looking at the pictures, all I'm seeing is a Fisker Ocean or something like that. I mean, this thing
Maserati
just does not, or a Hyundai. I mean, it just doesn't stand out. It just looks like every other, wind tunnel shaped, too many radiuses crossover thing. I mean, hell, it looks like a stupid Macan. Deeb, what is some douchebag going to pay for this thing?
All right, you guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, cool. So 700 horsepower V12, 715 horsepower. Somebody bid to 690 last time, but didn't pay for it. Just a couple weeks later, it's back at auction. John, our car is at $500,000, and it has 2 days to go before it closes. According to Classic.com, there is some data. About 3 or 4 of these have transacted, a couple of them from overseas. But according to Classic.com, the average selling price of a used Purosangue is $580,500. This one had hit 690 but didn't transact. I think it gets back into the neighborhood, but not quite to the same number. John, my bid is going to be $650,000, where I believe it will sell when it transacts in a couple days from now. JP, what's your number?
It got 660 before, and the guy didn't come
through? 690.
690.
Yeah,
okay,
so I'm gonna go 650 right now. Me.
I'm going to say it gets over that, but not by much. I'm going to go 695 and say it gets there or better. These are really popular. There are a lot of douchebags out there with a lot of money that are looking to, I mean, look, this is a target on your head. I always complain about how people buy incredible sports cars and exotics and don't put any miles on them. They just hide them away. Well, if you buy this, you should do that. You should just put this in your garage. Don't drive it at all. Don't let anyone see you in this thing because everyone that looks at you is going to hate you. This is the kind of vehicle that people are just going to be shooting darts at you wherever you go. Romi, what do you think this thing's going to bring?
I like the car. I wouldn't buy it, but I like it. And I think you're right. I think somebody should just buy it to collect it. This is for people who have got, 4 or 5, maybe 10 private jets. And they're like, well, whatever. Just throw it in the hangar. It's no problem. And it's not even a big deal for them. They just want it because it's unique and different and rare. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go under and say 630.
Good.
630, so it's not going to make it to where it was before.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring up an interesting point, Romi. This is the kind of car, like the hangar cars are always interesting. Yeah. Like this would be a great alternative to one of those Rolls Royce. What's the one that you always see as limos where the owner isn't the one driving it? This is like you have your driver drive this thing.
The Phantom.
Because it's got, the Phantom, right? Like, what is it? The Win has a fleet of them driving around here in our neighborhood. But you show up somewhere and somebody opens that bay door for you in the back. You get in and you just, avoid Uber.
Exactly it.
Yeah, that's probably what it's for. But again, should be bulletproof. All right, what do you guys think this incredibly overly expensive Ferrari SUV will bring? Let us know. And what's the next car on the list? Michael Deeb.
All right, JP. There is a car on Bring a Trailer that is setting the internet on fire. Porsche made Jerry Seinfeld a one-off 2014 911 50th anniversary edition. But instead of a GTS, our car is a Turbo S coupe, but with all the 50th anniversary details like the Fuchs-style wheels, the gorgeous graphite gray paint, and the Pepita interior. A car that has been signatured by Porsche on the dash as a one-of-one for JS, which is Jerry Seinfeld. The car is listed on Bring a Trailer as a premium listing, showing 3,700 miles out of Santa Monica, California. And at a glance, JP, you'd be forgiven for looking at it and thinking that was just another one of the regular 911 50th anniversaries. But this one is actually a Turbo S. And so the Turbo S is just going to have way more motor and all-wheel drive. So what we're talking about here is essentially, let me find it. Where did they give it to me? 553 horsepower. 560 horsepower with 516 pound-foot of torque. And then you've got the Sport Chrono and an overboost function that will allow you to gas for 550 pound-foot of torque for small intervals. So incredible performance now to back up some really bold, good looks. I am a huge fan of the 9/11 anniversary. My partner is not and thinks they're overpriced. But what I dig about the anniversary is that you get a lot of bespoke features from Porsche's Design Center, plus you get a performance advantage with the X50 package. In this instance, you get the cachet of one of Porsche's greatest brand ambassadors of all time, Jerry Seinfeld. His name is literally on the effing car, and it's a one-off. And you get all the performance to back it up because it's Turbo S. So I think it's a super cool car. I think it's destined to break the bank. And I think that the public is just having a fun with this car because of all the tie-ins. And it's a car that I think a lot of people, even Porsche people, didn't even know existed. So here it is on the open market, and you could buy Jerry Seinfeld's basically bespoke car. How cool is that? Where are you at, John?
What's the deal with Jerry Seinfeld buying basically run-of-the-mill cars? I mean, I get that this is a 50th anniversary special turbo or whatever, but really it's not. It's just a regular turbo 991 with some doodads on it. If you were a normie and you could, and this was like, okay, I'm finally going to get that great 911. You have one 911 and this is it. This would be a pretty special car to the average person. But when you're Jerry Seinfeld, you have all the cars. You have every Porsche there is. What's the point of even owning this thing? I mean, I could see him getting one of these as it was like, okay, well, this is going to be my daily driver because I'm so freaking baller that I can get this and put 10,000 miles on it in a year and just this is what I drive around all the time. But if you're Jerry Seinfeld, you have a collection of so many cool ass cars that you don't drive enough miles a year to be able to even drive all of them even once a day, like ever. It's like you've got cars in your garage and in your collection that people would murder just to be able to drive once, and they're cars that you kind of forgot you even had. This car just does not seem special enough for a special collector. It just seems like a regular old 991 turbo with some stupid stuff on. It's just a 2004. I don't get it. What's the deal, Romi?
The deal is, JP, you're funny. But the deal is when you start collecting cars and you have everything, right? Everything like Seinfeld does, this is actually kind of cool. Porsche made it for you. They did some special things for you, and you can put it in your garage. You can drive around if you want or not, but it's something that's cool and unique to you. So that made it the difference for him, I think. I think for a collector like me or whoever, getting this car and putting it in the garage would be kind of cool, or the warehouse or the hangar. It would be kind of cool because it's unique and different, and it could go up in value. It could have future value. I wouldn't drive it, and like you said, it's basically just the Turbo S. But having the Seinfeld stuff on it gives it some provenance and could be cooler in the future, especially once Jerry's no longer with us, right? So that's something that could be different, and if you have the money to hold on to it, do it.
Well, there you go. I mean, let's talk about the money. $500,000 plus probably for this thing. Deeb, what's it going to bring to, I mean, I just, in that stratosphere, I'm thinking of, there's a whole lot of cars on the list before this thing even hits the radar. But what do you think it's going to bring, Deeb?
All right, JP. So the base price of a 2014 Turbo S was $180,000. Jerry's car stickered for $240,000. So believe it or not, you go back 10 years, and this car only had, and I mean only, $60,000 in options, which is crazy. The big auction, of course, was the CXX options, the special wishes. In this instance, there is a line for special wishes for $26,990 something. So basically, he paid $27,000 to have his Turbo S turned into a 50th anniversary car, which is pretty cool. Only Jerry could get that, apparently. But John, here we go. With 3 days to go, our car is currently listed at $327,000. And again, we still have 3 days left on the clock. That comes to us by way of 26 bids. John, I'll open the bidding at, I think I thought $400,000, but I think it's going to go flying right past that. I'm going to go $450,000 and say that it sells. JP, where are you at? You were hinting at $500,000. I don't think that's out of the question. Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Ken Block's car fail to sell a couple of weeks ago. The idea that cars owned by celebrities are going to bring a really big premium seems to be waning. If you're Jerry Seinfeld and you can get Porsche to build you anything, why don't you have them, like Kevin Bodeman suggests, put 3 goddamn pedals in it, and then you'd have something special. Then you'd have something that maybe you want to keep. Then you'd have somebody would pay, I'll pay $500,000 for a Turbo S991 with 3 pedals. That would be the only one. That would be freaking cool. But instead he got stupid badges. I don't know. I'm going to go 300,991.
Nice.
Give it to me again.
I agree.
JP?
Was it 391,091? So I'm trying to do a play on 991. So 300 991
Yeah.
And I'll pass it off to Robbie.
I
don't think it's going to get 400.
I was almost clever, JP. Thank you.
Almost.
Almost. I agree with you 1,000%. I was thinking that the whole entire time. Like, if it was 3 pedals, that car would be amazing. I would buy it.
It'd be a sport classic. Yeah.
It would be a sport classic, and it'd be amazing.
Yeah. Rear wheel drive.
It'd be the coolest car ever. But I'm thinking, I agree with you. The celebrity thing only goes so far. I'm thinking I'm going to do 410.
410. Yeah, I mean, it's not just any celebrity. It is a celebrity that matters in the car world.
Yes.
But so was Ken Block, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if there ever was a car and a name attached to the car, I mean, it would, other than, the poor fellow that's gone from the Carrera GT, Paul Walker. Yeah.
Walker.
I mean, I think a lot of his cars bring an extra premium too, but yeah, I don't get it on this car. Chris Carbine says 991s were all PDK. Yeah, that's our point, dude.
That's our point. Yeah,
that Jerry should have used his power to get them to make the car correctly, just like he did when he got on the last 993, and he got them to do it in one of the first 993s. He got them to make it in a Speedster, which they only made 2. So if you're Jerry Seinfeld, you can get the factory to do really cool stuff, and having them silk screen some stupid badges. You're Jerry Seinfeld, dude.
That's why he's selling it.
Let's do it, right?
That's why he's selling it.
That's why he doesn't care. I will say that, I mean, he looks at 3,700 miles over 10 years. He drove it a little bit. That's more than a lot of these cars get driven. All right, let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, you selected for us this 2007 Porsche 997 Turbo with a 6-speed manual. And this car has been treated to a wide body kit by our friends at Liberty Walk. The car is showing 18,000 miles and listed for sale out of Parsippany, New Jersey.
How you doing, man?
And it's listed on PCAR Market. JP, I will open the opinion by telling you that I don't get this car at all. With little to no performance upgrades, basically somebody that wasn't Japanese and a 2-pack-a-day smoker went over to the side of this car and hacked the radiuses off and grafted on some wide body kit and some ridiculously cartoonish wheels. I think this car has even less value than RWB, and I'm sorry that somebody ruined a perfectly good manual 997 Turbo to do so, because this started off life as a really nice car and has now been ruined. I don't know why you picked this car. This car angers me, and I can't wait till we're done with it. So, JP, this car to me is a colossal waste of time, money, and resources, and they effed up a perfectly good donor car because it was a low-mile black manual, something I would have liked to own. I don't get this car at all. It means nothing to me.
Yeah, we heard that, but tell us what the car is. We get it. You don't like it, but what is it?
What is it?
And are you sure it hasn't been performance? The performance hasn't been upgraded? I thought the turbos were replaced.
Upgraded turbos, high flow air filters, and aftermarket mufflers. Whatever.
Upgraded turbos, and it hasn't had anything done? Are you listening?
All right,
to
have you driven my 997?
Hold on. I've never heard of Liberty Walk either, so there you go. And
there you go.
It's all yours.
But you've driven my 997.
I mean, I get not liking it. Trust me, I totally understand.
I like
that.
it.
Yeah, I mean, but
earlier when I read it,
this car doesn't have the performance to back up the look.
Does it have the performance?
Oh, hell yeah. This car is like your car, Romi. And yeah, I mean, the Liberty Walk, I actually kind of like the wheels. I like that it's black on black, but the Liberty Walk thing has always kind of escaped me. This is kind of like it's like I saw a thread on Facebook today, or maybe it was yesterday or whatever. Somebody was going, should I bother watching the Fast and the Furious series of movies? I've never seen any of them. That was the question that someone posted, right? And of course, thousands of responses. Oh, you got to go watch it. Oh, especially the first 3. They're so good. It's like, no, they're not. I mean, I've seen them. They suck. I haven't seen any of the later ones. But the only real reason to watch a Fast and the Furious is because of the nostalgia. And I feel like the Liberty Walk thing is Fast and the Furious in that same kind of genre, because it was all that kind of mid-aughts era when they came out. Every car at SEMA had Liberty Walk wide bodies, all the Ferraris, everything had these plastic things. It was about the same time that RWB started, like Deeb was saying. Probably a lot more skill involved in bolting this stuff to the car than anything RWB has ever done. And this car does have the poop to back up the look, because they did upgrade the turbos. Romi, you have a 997 turbo that's got all kinds of mods. What do you think of the Liberty Walk version of the 991?
Yeah, my 997 turbo is like 840 horsepower. It's crazy. Yeah. So I don't know what this one's at, but I like it.
510. This one's at 510.
That's
reportedly on a dyno. Yeah. So 510 to the ground.
Oh, 510 to the wheels. That's good.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's really good.
No, that's great. Yeah, it's about the same. So they did the same kind of thing. I like it. I can't believe I like it, but I like it. It looks like what the car should have looked like, but Porsche's always too conservative. It almost looks like the same as my 993 Ruf, with the wide body kit on it. It's cool.
it has that. It has that pop.
993 with does it have the rivets in it?
It does. Yeah. The Liberty Walk thing.
I know it's sacrilege, and I know it's a bastardization of the car, but with the wider wheelbase, I bet you it handles amazingly because of all the power. Like my car, it slips and slides all over the place because it's just a regular narrow body, but it's still a turbo body. But with the extra horsepower, I bet you it handles great.
All right, Deeb, what's this car that you hate going to bring?
Yeah, so I read.
Wait, hold on a second. Deeb, do you hate this car?
Yeah, I still don't like it.
Well, hold on. Wait, Deeb, do you hate this car?
Deeb, does it make you angry?
Yes.
Does it make you angry? Do you want to punch it?
Yes, I do.
Would you
like?
I
want to punch the guy in the studio right now.
I want to punch the guys that built it.
I want to punch the guys that built it. Would you punch somebody if they liked it?
Yeah. No. That's okay.
Good. Because I like it.
Is it going to bring any money? What do we think?
All right, JP. Our car is currently sitting at $75,000 on just one bid, and it closes tomorrow. I've made a mistake and thought that it didn't. I thought it just had like an exhaust and pedals on it, but it does have the turbos. And yeah, it goes. It from 480 at the crank, 510 to the wheels. That's a massive upgrade. That's this thing probably does get out of its own way. Anyways, JP, I still don't think this car is going anywhere. My bid is just $86,000. And we'll see if they're looking for more money than that if it fails to sell when it hammers for my number.
I think that's a pretty good bid. It as much as I actually kind of like this car, if this thing were a stock 997 with a manual, with this few miles, you're looking at $110,000-$120,000 car. The 997 turbos are really sought after, especially with 3 pedals because they just didn't make very many of them. Even though this car is way better than a stock one in every way when it comes to the performance numbers, this thing has got to be an absolute rocket ship. I'm kind of with you, Romi. I feel like the 997s, when, a regular 997s, no one's going to really look twice, but you have something like this, it's a little bit more whiz bang, but it's definitely going to piss off the purist, but that's who we like pissing off. Yes. I just don't think PCAR market is going to get the money for it, though. Deeb, your number was 86. I'll park it just above you at 90997 and hand it off to Romi.
All right.
997.
90,997.1.
Sorry.
Sorry. It's okay. It's okay. I like it. I say .2. I'm sorry. I like this car a lot. I like that it's manual. I like that it has a lot of horsepower. I like that it has the wide body. So I'm going to go with 97,000.
All right.
Yes, for 997.
And the average selling price, according to Classic.com,
look at how great that looks.
For a standard one would be $100,000. So,
and you know what you could do if you put a ducktail on that thing, it would look amazing.
It has. That's what it has.
No, but even take that top part off. It's a real ducktail. It'll be cool.
That is what a 9. I mean, they didn't make a factory 997 ducktail, but technically that's what this is a 997 ducktail.
Agreed. I just mean a real one.
Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as a real one for one of these, but
you got to make it.
You'd have to have it made. It's interesting that they upgraded the taillights to 997.2. So they really did a lot. There's a lot of attention to detail here, even if you don't necessarily like the details. All right, guys. What do you think this 997 will bring?
Deeb's like, I hate it.
We got just a couple minutes to go. Should we do one more car real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let's slide it in real quick.
What do we got?
All right,
slide
JP,
it right
let's
in.
See. So, Brian Anthony's buddy is peddling this 1953 customized Ford F100. So somebody from the Nerd Herd sent this to us. Our 53 Ford F100, which is the first year of the 100, is now powered by a 289 with headers, and it looks like it's built. And they made it to a 5-speed manual transmission.
Yes.
So looking sinister on the Demon Drop with Steelies and a matte back paint job. You basically have a custom and therefore polarizing, either love it or hate it. Pretty cool pickup truck from In Period with a slightly younger motor and a much younger gearbox. This car is probably kind of fun to drive and will certainly turn heads wherever you go. JP, the numbers on these cars are surprising. According to Classic.com, the average selling price for a 53 F100 is around $60,000. Our car is currently already at 20 and it closes tomorrow, which is much higher than I thought it would actually bring at Hammer. So the car is off to a very good start. And it's sure to bring certainly at least more money than I thought it was worth. So there you go. JP, what do you see when you look at, this isn't a bro dozer. What do you describe something like this?
Yeah, wasn't this in a movie? Did I read that somewhere? I think this might have been in an obscure movie or whatever. I don't know. Cars and trucks from the
Expendables.
50s are Expendables. There you go. So
there you go.
Sylvester Stallone or somebody slimed their way across the bench seat in this thing. Got some low T on the steering wheel or whatever. But that's the thing. This is the people who want these are all dying or dead. The only ones that are still around are guys like Sylvester Stallone, who is just injecting pure ground up third world children straight up into his veins to stay alive.
All right, JP, I want to interrupt. For a second because you're flirting with a really good take here, and that is, we talk about like Porsches and how they're still relevant because there's a whole new generation of guys that didn't buy the cars new. They couldn't. They either weren't born or they couldn't afford them like us when the cars were new from the 70s and 80s. Do you think there is going to eventually be a wave of young kids that do get into cars like this and do start customizing them again differently than the boomers are doing now with candy apple red and chrome this, that, and the other? Do you think there's soon to be another wave of kids that are going to bring 50s and 60s muscle cars and trucks and start customizing them in a new way that we haven't even imagined yet? Do you think that is on the potential, or do you think ICE cars will disappear before that ever takes hold?
I mean, I think that's kind of what's going on right now. I mean, you zooming in on the picture of this car, the guy driving it, he's got that 30. Tattooed hipster kind of thing going. There is a rockabilly scene out there that exists that is kind of an underground hipster scene that likes stuff like this, but it's just not big enough, and it's already happening and it's already waning. The fact that this is resto modded, it is cooler than a regular truck or whatever, but there's just not enough critical mass to keep it going. It's dying. Romi, what do you think? And we don't have a whole lot of time.
I think you're right about the truck, but I think the muscle cars from the 60s and 70s are always going to be cool. So I think kids will always be into them.
I don't know about that, but that's interesting. I mean, look at the values of them. The values of those cars are not holding up.
Yeah, but any kid growing up looks at those. It's badass. So whether or not they decide to buy it later on, I don't know.
That's the big question. All right, Deeb, what's it going to bring? We have just a few minutes.
All right, JP, our car is currently sitting at $19,999 on 17 bids. I mean, it's already got, again, I would have thought that would have been the hammer, like under 20 bids at 20 grand. That would have been it for me. But it's got a day to go and a lot of action underneath it. So I am going to push my bid beyond what I think it's worth, but what I think it's going to hammer for, $28,000 to you, JP. Where you at?
28 grand is a good bid. I was going to go somewhere between 25 and 30. So the question is, do I go optimistic or do I just stay the bitter, pissed off JP that I always am? So I'll go 25 and give Romi the opportunity to go over since he seems to like it.
The whole time we've been talking, the number through my head was 27.5. I don't know.
There you go. Good number.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps that this thing has a powertrain that makes it
and
probably
it was in a
fun
movie.
to drive.
It's
It was in a movie. That does something for it. Maybe it comes with one of Sylvester Stallone's stupid Richard Mille watches or whatever. Anybody who buys one of those is such an idiot. I've talked about CEOs that are trying to wave to everyone that they should be shot. I am not condoning anyone being shot.
Please don't.
Maybe if you wear a Richard Mille watch, you kind of deserve. No, I retract that. Those are okay. Anyways, guys, you should get an Aviera watch, and then you won't get shot.
Exactly.
All right, everybody, that is an episode. Let us know what you guys think of this truck. Is some old guy gonna buy it? We'll take us out of here. Make sure you subscribe and like and hit the notification button. We'll be back.
Ring the bell.
Sunday night, right? Is that when we're coming back? Yeah, Sunday night. We'll take it out with Romi going around the F1 track in his roof. See you guys.
Later.